Good afternoon. Welcome to the Jon Gaunt Show. Today, the BBC and Keir Starmer are finished. You want to know why? I'll tell you why in this video. But I want your views as well. So, as I say, this afternoon, I'm exposing the full collapse of two of Britain's most powerful institutions. Some would say most corrupt. The BBC and Keir Starmer's Labour Party. Both are absolutely engulfed in scandal at the moment. There is a real chance that both could fall in the next few days. Because after the shocking Glastonbury race hate scandal with Bob Dylan or Villain or whatever he calls himself, there's open rebellion inside Labour over welfare at the same time. It's not guaranteed that Starmer's going to win tonight, even though he's given loads and loads of concessions. And I want to talk about the BBC and indeed Starmer, their bias, their distaste for people like Donald Trump. And I say their views on Israel are disgusting as well. And their attitudes, this is the BBC and the Labour government, towards British values. The things that you and I think are really important, they think they're either homophobic, transphobic, racist, sexist, name whatever you want. Starmer is losing control of his own party. Some would say he's lost it already. I've been saying it for weeks. I notice now the lamestream media are saying the same things. He's not going to survive. He might survive tonight, but he's leader in name only. Good, isn't it? Only a year and he's on the way out. Forget about what happens next. The most important thing is to get rid of him. At the BBC at the same time, their credibility is in tatters. Especially now it's been revealed that the Director General was on a freebie at Glastonbury when this happened. I don't think he was watching the band, but he was told afterwards. He did say, to be fair to him, take it down off the BBC iPlayer. But they didn't do it for 5 hours. He's the boss. He should have taken ownership. And anyway, when I worked at the BBC, and I was there 20 odd years as a freelancer, you had to fill out all the producer guideline stuff. They must have known this act were controversial, or were they just concentrating on the so-called Northern Ireland rappers? Either way, somebody's made a massive mistake, and I'm sorry, the book stops with you, Tim Davie. That's the guy who's in charge of the BBC. He's the Director General. I've met him quite a few times. He's got to go. I think he's got to fall on his microphone. What do you think? Let me have your comments now. So they're in a complete and utter mess. I say they're totally biased, the BBC, and the Labour Party. And the Labour Party is in total disarray. He can't even get his own MPs to agree with him. He's not going to last, is he? Meanwhile, Reform UK and Nigel Farage are rising fast. And the political and indeed the broadcast mainstream media, state-sponsored media, particularly the BBC, are in panic mode. The BBC have even had meetings about, what kind of programs can we do that reflect reform ideas? You what? Why weren't you doing it before? It's just nonsense. We've got a Prime Minister who doesn't read, by his own admission, his own speeches before he gave them. Do you remember he gave that speech about us being a nation of strangers? He's now saying he regrets it, but he didn't read it in advance because his house had got firebombed, not the one he lives in, one of his others. So I'm here because today is not just news. This is a turning point. So I'm live. It's uncensored. We're going to break it all down together. You bring in your comments, please, now, and hit like, subscribe, and get involved in this conversation. This is very, very important. The BBC, they control. I mean, it's no surprise that the boss of the BBC was at Glastonbury. They kind of fit together like a glove, don't they? They give away 500 free tickets. It's the biggest freebie in town. They're all there because for all their talk of diversity, they're not diverse at all. They are all singing from the same hymn sheet. And I don't know about you, I'm fed up of it. We don't think that's what our country is. And do you think anything will happen to this guy? Will it be covered up? Yes. Will he get a sentence like Lucy Connolly? No. 31 months for her awful treat. But this guy, I bet he doesn't even go to prison. There's already people on Twitter saying to me, oh, he was making a criticism of an army. He's allowed to do that, and it's a genocidal army, and it's this and it's that. So then they go on to say basically the IDF are terrorists, but 1 minute they're an army. Make your mind up. And then they start comparing the atrocities and alleged atrocities, all reported by Hamas, of course, because they won't allow the other media in, or Israel won't let them in. So we don't know how true it is, but even if it was all true, you can't compare the two. He stood on a stage and incited hatred. He said from the river to the sea. He also talked about killing them. Kill the IDF. And the crowd, they're just as bad. They were chanting along. And the BBC didn't pull the plug. I'm not suggesting censorship. I believe in free speech. But first of all, they shouldn't have booked them. Glastonbury and the BBC should have said no. There's plenty. I read them out yesterday to you. Plenty of opportunity and ample evidence of where this man stands on so many things. I'm just going to start with this this comment from Lisa Carville. She says, more important, who thought it was a good idea to put it on the iPlayer? Well, I think it's a good idea to put it on the iPlayer. All the acts, it was great that you could go from one to another. It annoyed me during Rod Stewart. They suddenly stopped the mainstream TV of it. But I think it's good that they're on the iPlayer. However, once he'd said some of the things he'd said and wound and incited up the crowd, the BBC, somebody in the BBC should have said, no, don't keep repeating that. Evidently, Tim Davie did say that, but they didn't do anything for 5 hours. So do you believe him? Or is that a kind of Starmer BS? What's your view? Please hit the like button if you're enjoying what I'm saying or getting wound up by what I'm saying. Blimey, it is hot, isn't it? Press the like button. It helps the algorithm. Thank you very much indeed. And I'll come back to your comments in a couple of moments. But just a few more things I want to say. I think they're both finished. I think Starmer will win the vote today, marginally tonight. By the way, I will be doing another podcast this evening about 6:30 live, depending what's happening in that vote. But they're both the BBC and the government. The bottom line is they're hopelessly out of touch with us, the British population, with their anti-Trump bias. Did you see Trump? He was on the 1 o'clock news. He's gone off to what he's calling alligator Alcatraz. Listen to this idea. He set up an asylum camp in Florida in the swamp, and that's where he's going to put illegal entrance into America. I've got to agree with Nana Acquire. She was on GB News, and she said, we could do with one of them here. We certainly could. It'd be better than 4-star hotels with squeezy soap, wouldn't it? And have you noticed something else just while on the subject of the small boats? Who was the first person to say they're all working for Deliveroo? Who's the first person who said that? Me. I said it on this podcast. I've just checked 3 or 4 weeks ago. And now I see the mainstream media are picking up on it, and it's suddenly their story. It was absolutely obvious that these people were working illegally. We're paying for them to live in 4-star hotels. We're paying for, today it's been revealed, we're paying for wigs. If they want a wig, we get them a wig. You what? I'm fleeing persecution. I've got to have a syrup. No, they're taking the piss, right? Absolutely taking the mickey. Free dentistry, free healthcare, a little bit of cash in their pockets, free bus fares, free trips to the theatre, meals. Well, I agree with most of that, but I wouldn't put them in a hotel. We're giving them a reason to come. We should never have scrapped Rwanda, or we should have replaced it with a better thing, a closer deterrent. Are you with me or against me? What about alligator Alcatraz like Trump? But of course, the BBC looked down their snooty noses at stuff like that. And the BBC, until only recently, you weren't allowed to talk about the small boats crisis. Today, 20,000 people have come in through Dover since Christmas. This is unsustainable, but we're still not really allowed to talk about it. Why? Because the BBC and the Labour government, well, the whole political class, they dictate what we can talk about. It's wrong. It's wrong, but today might well be the beginning of the end. They are so out of touch with us. It's unbelievable. They're also anti-Israel. You know that. That's why the idiots at the BBC did not pull the plug, because they probably agreed with Bob, whatever his name is. Yeah? They probably agreed with him. They certainly think talking tough on illegal immigration is wrong. I heard some Burke on the telly saying, well, they're not illegal. They only become illegal if they apply for asylum and they don't get it. What a load of garbage. That might be the technical term, but it's not right. Anybody who's coming to our country via Dover or the back of a lorry in a boat or whatever, they are illegal. End of story. They might be legitimate asylum seekers. And if they are, we should take them in. But we should process them much quicker than we are doing. Yesterday, 1,000 came. The same will happen today and tomorrow and maybe even the following day, but the weather might break. I also don't want to see them drowning, do you? But the BBC and Keir Starmer are out of touch. That's why the Muslim rape gangs took so long to get exposed. That's why he didn't want a public inquiry. He and his Labour Party are up to their necks in it. They're drowning in this filth. That's why they didn't want it. But then when their own woman said, we need one, he's had to go ahead with it. I don't think he'll be in power then. He certainly doesn't look happy, does he, Keir Starmer? Oh, didums. And the other thing that gets on my nerves with the BBC and indeed Starmer, they've got a complete disdain for patriotism. They don't believe in our boys. They don't believe in our flag. They're not British in that way. And they think that when we talk about those things, that we are therefore far right. Everything is far right if it's not uber liberal. But now, you see, because Nigel Farage and Reform UK have done so well, they're in worrying times. So they start to ape what Farage says. So it becomes Reform light. But it doesn't work because they don't believe in it. But that's the problem with Starmer. He doesn't believe in anything. At least Jeremy Corbyn, he had his beliefs. I didn't agree with them. Mrs. Thatcher, I didn't agree with everything she said. But at least you knew what she was. Not this mush, this spineless amoeba we've got now. And the BBC is stuffed full of uber liberals who don't like the idea that the trans thing has been defeated and that a woman, the definition of a woman is a woman. They don't like that at all. That's broken up all their little cozy club. And Tim Davie, the Director General, he must resign. This is a major, major scandal. Shown worldwide. It's made us look stupid. Davie must go. I think he will. I think he'll be sacked. And then Starmer, he's not only just lost the country, but he's clearly now lost his own party, with all those no-mark backbench MPs suddenly thinking they're powerful. I don't like the welfare reforms. They're not thought through. I appreciated the U-turn on the students and the U-turn on the winter fuel allowance because they were ridiculous proposals, not thought through. But let me tell you, I watched that Liz, whatever her name is, Airhead, yesterday, who was talking about the concessions. They're not going to save hardly any money at all. So why do it? Is Starmer trying to destroy the UK? There's my question. And is he being aided and abetted by the BBC, the bloated broadcasting corporation? Can you believe there's 500 people at Glastonbury? They're not all working. Most of them are on a freebie. And you've got all these different cameras and different stages. They could easily have just cut away from Bob, couldn't they? And gone to another stage. They didn't. They left it on the iPlayer for 5 long hours. I say that's outrageous. I say that's a sackable offence. What do you say? If you want to join in, just write a comment at the bottom and it comes up on my screen and I will read them out. I do need your views. Right, let's go to some of those views now, shall we? By the way, if you want to support me, you can easily. You just go to www.buymeacoffee.com/Jon Gaunt, JONGAUNT, all one word, and donate from $5 upwards. Alternatively, whilst I'm live on YouTube, you can donate here. If you just press that little $sign, you can donate any amount you wish. Small amount, large amount, whatever you want to do. It all goes to make these podcasts continue. All right, let's take some views. The crowd were probably all high. Well, I'm probably drunk as well. They're very middle class, that's for sure. That was Sue Flautley. Phyllis Park says, I agree 100%. Sharon Gray says, I pray Starmer is finished. He's an absolute idiot. Gotta say thank you to Graham Erdley from the Bruges Group. Says on here that he's just reposted the stream. Thank you very much indeed. He's watching on X or Twitter. All of you do that, then more people will get to see the show. Shut Glastonbury down, defund the BBC. Let's make the BBC a subscription and then see how good they are. Laugh out loud. Says Dave Edwards. Dave, I don't want to shut Glastonbury down. If people want to go and they want to spend their money on it, that's fine. It's become a corporate fest. It's not what it was. And it's become, you've all got to have the same opinion. It's not about diversity. It's about being exactly the same and liberal, right? As proved by all those flags in the audience, which mysteriously disappeared during Rod Stewart's gig. So I don't want to close it down. But what I do want is for them to vet the acts. And what I do want is for them to consult the BBC. As to the BBC becoming a subscription service, I think it's got to go that way. It just has got to go that way. Do you know anyone who buys a TV license anymore? No one does. Do they? Or have I got that wrong? There's a video on YouTube that shows an Uber Eats burger joint operating out of an asylum hotel with the rider collection point on the back gate. You're exactly right, Mark the Vicar on YouTube. Yeah, I think that was the Sun who did that story. Yeah. So they're actually using the 4-star hotel kitchens, which aren't being used because they sacked all the staff. When they become asylum centres, migrant centres, they sack all the staff. So all of those jobs go in the economy. British jobs go. And basically they have food, Meal on Wheels comes in. But obviously a few of these guys have thought, well, we may as well use the kitchen. Did you know all the security are asylum seekers as well? That's what the papers are alleging. So what a nice, cozy arrangement. You know, when they say in prisons, recently they've been saying, the Muslim terrorists have taken over the prison. You go, really? But it has. It's a bit like they're all being grouchy. Do you remember Grouchy in Porridge? He ran the bloody prison, not Officer Mackay. Well, it seems like that's what's happening in the refugee centres. They're taking the P1SS out of all of us. And I see Uber, Deliveroo, the delivery companies. And I said, oh, yeah, we'll get our house on order. Yeah, it's terrible. We didn't realise. Starmer has turned this country into a nation of bullshitters. Do you agree with me? This is the man who says, oh, yeah, sorry about that speech. Yeah, I regret saying land of foreigners. I didn't realise it was Enoch Barrett. Yes, you did. You're just a liar, Starmer. And because you're lying, everybody else is lying. I don't want to live in a nation like this. It's absolutely clear what's going on. They're being told before they even get in the dinghy in Calais, get yourself now to London, Coventry. There's loads of them in Coventry. Rugby, right? Just get here, and my mate will get you a job. Doing what? Delivering what? English people have food delivered? Yes. What, on a bike? Yeah, but don't worry, it's motorised. Who gives me the bike? I'll get you the bike, and you'll pay me back over several weeks. That's what's going on. How much can I earn? About £1,000 a week in your hand. £1,000 a week in your hand in the black economy. And living in a 4-star hotel. And then people say that people like me who want to create a more hostile environment, still treat them fairly, put them in tents, etc., that I'm a fascist. I'm a realist. Looks like Moonhawkers as well. He says, put the Navy in the Channel. It's not rocket science, is it? No, it's not. You're right. Give one 400 fags to bring in, and border control will be there within minutes. That's a very good thing. Yeah, if they were smuggling fags, or if it was you, they'd have you done. They'd do you, wouldn't they? I can't believe how crazy this situation is. And it's Starmer. And he gets then backed up by those idiots in the BBC. Because they're of the same ilk. Starmer's lost control of his party. The BBC's lost all its credibility. Surely this is the end for both of them. What do you think? The BBC's covering up race hate when you think about Glastonbury. They tried to ignore it. Starmer's own MPs are turning on him. Starmer himself looks like he's in meltdown. Meanwhile, we're just sitting here watching it, eating popcorn, probably delivered by an illegal immigrant. Let's break this down while the establishment breaks apart. And answer some of these questions. Should the Director General of the BBC, Tim Davie, be sacked? Yes or no? Do you believe that Starmer's in control? And should we get rid of him? Yes or no? I'd like your views. Let's have some comments on that as well, please. Let's go back to your comments for a moment. Peter Mole, 21 likes. Thank you very much indeed, guys. Keep pressing the like button, whatever you do. Yes, we get them out of our country. Boast out country. Boot out. I don't know what that means, Peter, but try and write it a bit slower, mate. There's no rush. You'll get on. Caroline Hobday. Most are single and young men. Why? Question mark. Families or women and children. Why no families or women and children, but just single men? And they claim to be far younger than they are. Then they get put, they do. This is true. She's not making up. They get put in local foster families. Do you remember the one who was building a bomb on the foster parents' kitchen worktop? No, these aren't exaggerations. These things have happened. It doesn't mean that everyone's like this. She says, and when it comes to having tests at Warwick Uni for their ID, we find out they're more genuine age. And if that's the case, they abscond. Really, says Caroline Hobday, Coventry. Oh, no, Caroline. Thank you, Caroline. Sue Fortley says, for sure, she's talking about Starmer, he is ruining the UK. Of course he is. Of course he is. Hi, John. Starmer has gone by the weekend. He's got no authority, has he? Says David Cordingly. Well, I don't know if it'll be the weekend, David, but I don't think it'll be many weeks. Or even days. I don't. He's got no credibility. Winter fuel. Completely wrong. The way he's treated the students. There's rumours he's going to reverse on the farmers. There's also now rumours that Rachel Thieves, do you remember her? In between fiddling her CV, she's now going to increase taxes. So we're going to get screwed again. Well, not me, because I'm not earning anything. But you are. Do you understand where I'm coming from? It's just complete madness. We never voted for this. The BBC and the Labour government do not reflect the wishes of the majority of the people in this country. That's why he's the most unpopular Prime Minister on record. Have I got this wrong? If I have, feel free to tell me. Just going to have some water. Let's move on. Amazing reaction today on the comments. Thank you very much indeed. Graham Hatton, one of my big fans, he's on Facebook today, says Glastonbury is a steaming hate fest comprising of a bunch of self-loathing, middle-class, jumped-up, hooray Henrys and Henriettas. I think you are right. I think you are absolutely right. They're all geography teachers, aren't they, or social workers? Some of them should know better. They just go there. It's like, have you ever been to the Cheltenham Festival? I used to go years ago, and it was fabulous. It was about horse racing and drinking and betting and the rest of it. You go now, it's just another one of the social events on the calendar for these kinds of twits that Graham's just explained. Just like Glastonbury. I went to Glastonbury 30 years ago, and it was a royal hippie fest. I hated it then, and I've been back, I think, 2 or 3 other times, and I hated it even more because now it's just so corporate. What's that poop song? Listening to a band in a field. That's not the way to listen to music. Everyone's getting really worked up about Oasis doing their sound checks at Cardiff. I could think of nothing worse. Well, I could, quite a few things. But watching Oasis in a big football stadium or in a field. I didn't even go. You know, when they played at Nebworth, I was working on the radio, I think, in Luton then. It was just before I went to London. I could have had free tickets and gone. I wasn't interested. Mind you, I didn't do very well after that, because when I started working for The Sun, I once described them, Oasis, as the world's 5th best Beatles tribute band. Noel Gallagher said to me, "You think you're funny, don't you?" I said, "Yeah, well, what's a funny line?" So I'll never be on their guest list again, right? But actually, I quite like them now. It'll be closed next year to allow the ground to get back to life. You're right, Caroline, they have a year off. So the organisers have a year to get it right. Do background searches on the acts. So easy to do with all the media. You can tap into who they are and those who have made the mistake this year and last. They need to find work elsewhere. Perhaps being an Uber delivery person. Oh, you sarcastic so-and-so. But I agree with you. Are you not angry, though, guys, about these people getting $1,000 a week in their hand, living in 4-star hotels like in Coventry, Caroline? You're talking about the big hotel up there on the A45 on the way to Birmingham. The big one down at Stretton, at Dunchurch. They're in that one as well. How can this be right? How can it be right? Moonhawk says UK has become the land of plenty. It's all here and it's free in capital. That is correct. The grand a week they earn pays the unsmashed gangs that get them here. Gruner. Connecting up the dots. Very good point indeed. Yeah, it's probably the gangs who sort out the bikes and sort out the jobs, and therefore they probably take the money and take a percentage off each week like they do with people trafficking. Yeah, I think that's probably true. But he hasn't smashed the gangs, has he? Starmer. I could keep saying, and now other people in the lamestream have nicked it. He couldn't even smash his own avocado to put it on his toast. Who is in charge of this country? Not people like you and I. No. It's the Uber liberals. Anybody want to donate today? Do me a little donation on YouTube, and I shall read out your name. It flashes up on the screen, and you'll get some honours. £1, £2, £5, £10, whatever you want to do. Just press the little $sign. Thank you very much indeed. Mick Corian Davis says, definitely whoever was in charge at Glastonbury, it's a P45. Simple. Got to agree with you. Lisa says, the singer's real name, yeah, I'm glad you brought this up, Lisa. Thank you. Is Pascal Robinson Foster. He's the director of 2 companies. He don't sound very left-wing, does he? He also has a hatred of Britain. Well, he comes from Ipswich, so you got to forgive him. I've only been into Ipswich twice. One was to do with that drunken idiot Brazil, and the other one was to watch, this shows my age, Coventry Blees Speedway playing Ipswich. I can't remember what they were called. They were the Ipswich something. Anyway, we used to go. My mate Brett was a great big Speedway fan, and once we went to Ipswich. Anyway, enough. Starmer will probably end up knighting Pascal Robinson Foster. Yeah, why are they always posh? Are they living on mummy and daddy's money? Again, reminds me of that poop song, isn't it, that he sang at Glastonbury. I thought he was excellent, by the way, Jarvis Cocker. Shall we meet up in the year 2000? Year 2000, that song. when he says she was a student at St. Martin's College. I met her in a supermarket. Had to start somewhere. And when she said, oh, it was common people, wasn't it? And then she says, I want to make love like common people. Yeah, and then there's that great line. I won't read it because it's a bit rude. And then she says, basically, knowing full well my daddy can take me out of this. I went to university with loads of people like that, pretending they had no money, right? And they come from really posh backgrounds. I went once to the Isle of Wight with this girl. She was lovely, but I wasn't going out with her or anything. She was just a friend, but she made out she was skint. And then we went to her house, and for her birthday, it was her 21st, she got a brand new yellow Mini car. She got some sketches by a little artist you may have heard of, Picasso. And she got these diamond earrings that she couldn't insure. And each room in their house, it was all run down because the husband had run away. But it was a massive house. And each one of the rooms was like the green room, the red room, the blue room, because all the kind of flock wallpaper was that kind of colour. That's the first time I've seen a proper chaise longue. We stayed there for a weekend. It was the most bizarre experience, well, one of the most bizarre experiences of my life. And she'd told me she was skint. I'd been buying her Balties. I wasn't even trying to get off with her. I'd been buying her Balties because I thought she was skint. It was the classic specials. Hey, little rich girl. Yeah, that's what it was. Anyway, long time ago. I've just been writing about that in my new book, actually. Anyway, that's a separate issue. I'll talk about that another day. Hi, Jon. Thank you for another awesome live stream. Keep up your fantastic work. I totally agree with you about the BBC boss and Starmer. Thank you very much indeed. If you think it's that good, donate something weird. I'm skint. I'm not like my posh friend pretending I got money. I ain't. And by the way, this kitchen isn't mine. This is my daughter's. Anyway, it feels like there's been no appetite to resolve the illegal migrant problem, says David Griffin, since the dawn of time. We just talk about the problem but do nothing. It needs a radical solution ASAP. You are right. Sorry, missed the beginning of the show, so you may have discussed the NHS letter allegedly found, stating all the free treatments available to migrants in hotels. Now, I've just mentioned it, David, a minute ago. I know exactly what you're saying. Jon, Starmer is only interested and doing smashing the records. I thought you there's something else. I had to be careful. Thank you very much indeed, Craig Mawson. Right. Hi, Jon. 879 yesterday. Crazy. I guess you mean illegal migrants came in. It would be great to see a news channel get an undercover reporter inside one of those hotels. I'd love to see what they get up to and receive. Yeah, I know that's a good point, but you see, I don't blame the individuals. If I lived in one of those shit countries that they come from, I'd want to get out. They just want to better themselves. My dad had to leave Hull and come to Coventry to better himself. I don't know whether he succeeded, but people have done that. That isn't a problem. It's the fact they're doing it illegally, and it's a fact that there's all these people making money. And I'm not just talking about the smuggling gangs. What about the hotel people? The big businesses who own those hotels. How much are they making? They're getting paid £8 million a day. Nice work if you can get it, don't you think? What about all those people? Not Uber. I keep saying Uber. Deliveroo. And they Just Eat. No one should buy from those people. I think I've done it once. I would never do it again. Not until I know that they're playing the system correctly. Because if they're just making it easier for people to get into our great country and con the system, why should I pay for that? I'm not going to. Nearly finished with the comments now, so if you want to get on, you've got to get in now. David Cordingley says, the Speedway team was the Ipswich Witches. Jon, you're right, David. You're correct. Mind you, have you ever tried to get to Ipswich? It's like the end of the earth, isn't it? It's a bit like going to Hull. It's just like, but Hull's worth getting to. Hull's pretty cool, pretty good place. But Ipswich, like Norwich has got more churches than pubs or something. Yeah, but who cares? Why do you want to go to Norwich? Carrot Country. Shut up, Jon. But anyway, I've been to Norwich. My brother lived there. My older brother, the really boring one. Yeah, he lived there for about 2 years. Anyway, sorry, I'm going off. Jon, I wonder what will happen with the Deliveroo riders that have been arrested. They'll just get a slap on the wrist. They won't get him put in prison, will they, for 30 days like Lucy? They won't. 31 months. Sorry, I should have said. So, I believe the BBC are in real trouble. I do believe he'll go, probably today or tomorrow. Although he's got to go up before the headmistress. It's Lisa Nandy. How do people like that get into positions of power? I just don't get it. It's like Lammy. How did the Jaffa Cake King ever become foreign secretary? Then you see Trump on the telly then, just getting onto Air Force One off his helicopter. He's off to Alligator, whatever he's called, Alcatraz. He's opened. He's going to put all the migrants in there. I'm not saying we should go that far, but we can't keep giving them this unsustainable life. The BBC are reporting and saying, well, next week there's a new initiative. What they're talking about is the initiative with France. 1 in, 1 out. That's not going to reduce the numbers, is it, you buffoon? Who's doing the figures? Diane Abbott? Although, give her a due, she's standing up against these welfare cuts, isn't she? What a mess we're in. And I do think Starmer's lost it. Somebody needs to give him a large glass of vodka and the metaphorical revolver or a glass of whiskey. He probably doesn't drink those things. Well, give him a glass of yogurt juice or something. I don't know. Tell him to go into his study and metaphorically blow his brains out, his political brains. Just give up. Because you're not a leader. You're never going to be a leader. Your credibility is gone. Nobody likes you. You're like the Millwall of politics, Starmer. But at least sometimes Millwall do something exciting, like smash up a high street or something. But you are like Millwall. Nobody likes you. Everybody hates you. Blimey, that's good. 30 likes. Thank you very much indeed. All right, I'm off. I'll probably be back at 6:30, although last night I couldn't do it. It just got so hot. I just couldn't. I don't know about you. In that weather, you just can't concentrate, can you? The most you can concentrate on is getting lager and lime in it. Is that right? Or cold white wine. But please subscribe to my channel, Jon Gaunt TV. You will find all of my videos, all of my YouTubes, all my bits and bobs there. And also, if you subscribe, which is free, you then get told every time I'm going to do a broadcast. So that's good. And you won't miss any. What else happens? That's about it. But if you do want to donate, you can do it there on YouTube, or you can go to www.buymeacoffee.com/Jon Gaunt and donate anything from £5 upwards. It's the end of the accounting week today. I don't know why it's a Tuesday, but it is. So if you are thinking of doing it, could you do it today so that I've got some money next week? Thank you very much indeed. Craig Mawson says, John, I don't think Reeves is doing the sums. No, she's too busy rewriting her CV. Thank you very much. I'll see you tomorrow or maybe later tonight. Until then, if you've got kids, give them a kiss, give them a hug, keep them wet, keep them cool because, God, it's so hot. And I'll speak to you later. And don't forget to tell those kids that you love them. See ya.